Dear Leo, there's something you need to know and it cannot wait. Thursday is not what it seems. August 21st holds a powerful truth, and this time, God isn't hiding it anymore. The veil is lifting. And the person you thought you could trust most? They may no longer be who your soul aligns with. You didn't land here by accident. You were guided, drawn in by a subtle yet undeniable pull from the universe. Maybe it's been a strange tension you've felt lately. A heavy silence in a conversation. A smile that doesn't reach the eyes. You've noticed it. But perhaps you brushed it off. Leo, today, you're being called not to ignore it. You're being called to see it. Truly see it. This video isn't about predictions. It's about awakening. Thursday is a trap, not because you are weak but because someone near you is masking misalignment with closeness. What feels familiar might actually be the energy that's been slowing you down. God has waited for the exact moment you were strong enough to carry this truth, and it's now. So I invite you to ask yourself, have you been feeling drained around someone you used to laugh with? Has your intuition been whispering, warning, nudging while your mind dismisses it as overthinking? If so, pause this moment with me and reflect. Now, if any part of your heart is already nodding, I want you to comment below, I feel it. I am ready. Show me what's hidden. Let the universe know you're no longer afraid to see the truth for what it is. In today's video, we'll walk through the deep astrological alignment of August 21st and the spiritual meaning behind why your energy is reacting so strongly right now. We'll explore how this cosmic window has been designed to expose what's been draining you, quietly, under the guise of love or loyalty. And most importantly, we'll talk about how to protect your light without apology. Leo, you are the sun. But even the sun must recognize when clouds are not just passing shadows, but storms in disguise. And before we continue, let me take a moment to thank you for being here. Your presence, your attention, your energy means everything. Every comment you leave, every like, every subscription helps this spiritual family grow stronger. You are not just watching a video, you are anchoring yourself deeper into the eternal mindfulness community, where messages like this aren't random theory revelation. Stay with me until the very end, because what the universe is about to show you will change the way you view someone you've held close. It may be unsettling. It may be unexpected. But I promise it will also be liberating. So take a deep breath. Let's begin. On August 21st, the cosmic window opens with striking precision, as the moon moves in retrograde alignment against Saturn, a rare astrological shift that carries immense emotional weight. This is not just a transit, it's a recalibration. It's as if the universe gently presses pause on what has been automatic and asks you, Leo, to take a second look at what you've been calling home. When the moon, the keeper of our subconscious tides, clashes with Saturn, the architect of structure, discipline, and karmic accountability, something hidden is invited into the light. Emotions that were brushed under the surface may suddenly become undeniable. Structures in your life that once felt comforting could now feel restrictive, cold, or out of alignment with your inner fire. Imagine walking into a familiar room. The furniture is the same. The walls haven't moved. And yet, something feels different. The air is heavier. The lighting, a little dimmer. That's what this energy feels like. It's not always loud. It doesn't always knock on your door with thunder. Sometimes it slips in quietly, allowing you to feel that something is no longer sitting right even if you can't name it at first. That is how truth arrives on days like this, not as a disruption, but as an awakening. This planetary tension invites you to examine the relationships that surround you, not just their surface, but their energy. Who has been occupying your space? Who have you been letting into your emotional orbit simply because they've always been there? We often confuse consistency with compatibility. But spiritual growth is not loyal to what is familiar. It is loyal to what is authentic. Today asks, are you holding on to someone because they nourish your spirit or simply because they've become part of your routine? The moon and Saturn together present a mirror. And in that reflection, you may see that someone close to you is no longer walking at your pace. Or worse, they may never have been aligned with your journey in the first place. It doesn't mean they are bad. It doesn't make them your enemy. But when your frequency changes, what surrounds you must be reevaluated. This is soul hygiene. It's how we make room for what truly uplifts us. What makes this moment profound is that your spirit is already aware. You don't need to figure everything out today. You just need to trust that feeling that tells you, this connection is changing. You may feel a sudden urge to pull back. To create space. To get quiet. Don't resist that. Stillness isn't the absence of movement, it's the presence of clarity. And clarity is a sacred gift in a noisy world. From the lens of energetic therapy and spiritual psychology, this is the moment when your heart and your higher self start to recalibrate in unison. It's the moment when you begin to stop managing relationships and start aligning with them. That difference matters. One comes from fear. The other comes from trust. If you've been battling anxiety, emotional fatigue, or a lingering heaviness that you can't trace, this may be why. It isn't always depression. Sometimes, it's your soul asking for air. For distance. For truth. The call is not to isolate but to listen. Let the silence between you and another person reveal what words have been covering up. Let absence say what presence has refused to. As the sky rearranges itself above you, let your inner landscape adjust as well. Not out of control, but out of consciousness. Ask yourself gently, if I were meeting this person for the first time today, would I still invite them this deep into my world? Your answer doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be honest. Because today isn't about rejection. It's about release. And in that release, you remember, you're not just here to be loyal. You're here to be lit. There are moments in life when what looks like care on the surface begins to feel like quiet suffocation. Picture a flower vibrant, alive, being held too tightly. Not out of hatred, but out of affection that does not understand freedom. The intention may be love, but the effect is pressure, containment, and slow withering. That is the kind of subtle trap many people find themselves in, especially on days like Thursday, when emotional energy peaks and clarity becomes unavoidable. It's the kind of love that says, I'm here for you, while silently demanding, but only if you stay where I can hold you. This Thursday, the energy doesn't explode, it seeps in. A message from someone who once meant the world. A compliment that somehow makes you second-guess yourself. A question wrapped in concern that lands like an invasion rather than an embrace. These are not dramatic betrayals, they're quiet misalignments. But they matter. Because spiritual fatigue is rarely caused by one single blow, it's the accumulation of tiny energetic mismatches, especially from those we've allowed closest to our hearts. When we talk about energy alignment, we're not speaking in metaphors, we're talking about resonance. Everything in the universe operates on frequency, including our relationships. Two people can walk side by side, share laughter, memories, even love, and still operate on mismatched frequencies. That mismatch may not be visible, but it's felt in the tightening of your chest, in the way your inner voice quiets down when they enter the room, in how your needs shrink just to keep their comfort intact. Emotional energy is not neutral. It either nourishes or depletes. And what makes these Thursday moments so complex is that the energy that drains you often comes dressed as warmth. It's that friend who only calls when you're too tired to talk. It's the partner who offers you affection, but only on the condition that you suppress a part of yourself. It's the sibling who remembers everything you've done wrong but cloaks it in humor. These interactions may not seem toxic at first glance, but over time, they blur the lines between safety and sacrifice. It's important to understand that the trap is not always about the other person, it's about the role you've been trained to play. Maybe you've become the peacekeeper, the strong one, the emotional caregiver. But strength without replenishment leads to burnout. Peacekeeping that silences your truth becomes spiritual suppression. And that's what Thursday invites you to examine, not just who's taking up space in your life, but what version of you they require in order to keep taking it. This is not a call for blame. It's a call for awakening. If your heart races in someone's presence, not from excitement but from caution, that's your nervous system speaking. Your body has an intelligence your mind hasn't caught up with yet. Trust that. And ask yourself gently, when they reach out to me, do I feel expanded? Or do I brace myself? Sometimes, the most dangerous energy isn't the loud or night's the disguised one. The energy that smiles when it enters but leaves you restless when it goes. The one that asks for closeness but doesn't offer safety. The one that says, I care, but only if you stay small enough to make them comfortable. And if that is what you've been calling love, maybe it's time to redefine the word. You don't need to walk away in anger. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to see clearly. Because once you do, the grip loosens. The flower breathes. And you remember that real love never makes you shrink to fit inside someone else's control. It lets you bloom, fully and without apology. When energy rises to its peak, it no longer whispers, it radiates. And on August 21st, Leo, you will feel this elevation in ways that defy logic. Not because anything around you has drastically changed, but because everything within you is finally aligning with a deeper truth. This is what happens when intuition outpaces explanation. Your spirit, often the quiet observer, becomes the voice you can no longer mute. And in that rising clarity, you begin to see who nourishes your fire and who quietly dims it. There is a kind of knowing that doesn't come from analysis or memory, but from a soft inner pressure that says, this isn't right anymore. On this particular Thursday, that pressure becomes more distinct. You may wake up feeling alert before your alarm. You may notice details that used to blur into your day, shifts in tone, subtleties in silence, even the way someone's energy lands when they speak your name. What's happening is not paranoia. It's precision. You're no longer tuned into the surface of things, you're tuned into frequency. That is the gift of this astrological moment. As the cosmic tension between the emotional moon and the karmic strictness of Saturn continues to vibrate, your nervous system becomes a receiver, subtle, refined, and impossibly honest. It will feel almost impossible to ignore what you've tried to excuse for too long. And the truth is, this energy is not here to harm you, it's here to free you from what you've been pretending to be okay with. That's the invitation. Not to fight. Not to fix. But to observe. Deeply. Quietly. And from that stillness, to choose. The law of attraction teaches that energy does not lie. What you allow to stay in your field becomes your signal. If you allow energy that drains, delays, or distorts you to remain knowingly, continue to tell the universe, I'm not quite ready for what's next. But when you honor that inner discomfort, when you say no to the subtle betrayals and unspoken tension, you create spiritual vacancy. And that vacancy is sacred. Because it is only when you release the false that the true can take root. That is why journaling becomes such a powerful tool on this day. Not because writing is magic, but because it slows your mind to the speed of truth. When you write without censoring, you bypass performance and tap directly into your intuition. Questions you've wrestled with begin to answer themselves. Emotions you couldn't name suddenly become clear. You may surprise yourself. You may cry. You may pause mid-sentence, realizing, I knew this all along. That is how healing begins, not with sudden revelation, but with gentle remembering. And perhaps the most transformative practice today is silence. There is so much power in not reacting. When you observe rather than respond, you let people show you who they are without interruption. You witness, without absorbing. You allow space for the truth to rise unfiltered. And you give your spirit the room it needs to breathe, reset, and recalibrate. On a soul level, Leo, you already know who's out of alignment. You've been carrying that knowing like a weight behind your ribs. This Thursday, it will move. It will ask to be spoken, or honored, or acknowledged. It doesn't require drama. It requires honesty. A private, sovereign, heart-led yes or no. And that's enough. You don't have to chase clarity. You are becoming it. And as the energy of August 21st moves through you, remember this: truth is not cruel. Truth is kind enough to liberate you. Even if it first arrives as discomfort, it always leaves as light. When the energy of the cosmos shifts in rhythm with your internal world, it doesn't always come with loud signals. Sometimes, it arrives in quieter ways: an unexplainable anxiety, a vivid dream that lingers well into your waking hours, or a sudden urge to withdraw from everything that once felt comfortable. These aren't signs that something is wrong. They are indicators that something sacred is aligning. When your soul begins to prepare for elevation, your body and mind become highly sensitive receivers of what is stirring beneath the surface. This is not discomfort to resist, but a transition to honor. On August 21st, that transition is deeply connected to planetary resonance. While astrology often speaks of external influence, transits, conjunctions, retrogrades, what matters just as much is how those celestial movements mirror what's happening inside of you. This is especially true for Leo at this time. As the vibrational patterns of your inner being begin to reset, you may find yourself feeling unsettled without a clear reason. This isn't confusion. It's calibration. The way a compass needle trembles right before finding true north. Pay close attention to your dreams right now. Not every dream carries a message, but when your spirit is being rewired, the veil between subconscious knowing and conscious awareness becomes thinner. A face that appears in a dream may represent a relationship you've outgrown. A place you revisit in your sleep may be your soul's way of releasing an old memory. Even a recurring color, symbol, or emotion could be the intuitive blueprint of something new that wants to emerge through you. Your dreams are not random. They are preparation. And more often than not, they whisper what your waking mind is too distracted to hear. This is why isolation sometimes feels necessary during cosmic openings. You may suddenly crave quiet spaces, long walks alone, or time away from digital noise. Don't guilt yourself for that. The desire to be alone is not avoidance, it's a sacred pause. You are not withdrawing from the world, you're stepping back so your inner world can catch up with your growth. That's a powerful act of self-respect. From a numerological perspective, the energy of August 21st breaks down to the number 3, the number of new beginnings, creative emergence, and personal expression. 3 is the moment a seed breaks open. It's the inhale before the first word is spoken. It's not about conclusion, it's about conception. So if you feel restless, it's because something new is preparing to be born through you. Not just externally, but emotionally, spiritually, and energetically. You can enhance this alignment intentionally by surrounding yourself with colors that support your nervous system and energy field. Blue, especially lighter shades, can help you maintain mental clarity while opening up channels of intuition. It soothes the mental body while activating the throat chakra, allowing your inner voice to rise without distortion. On the other hand, lavender or soft violet helps shield your intuitive core while keeping you receptive to truth. These colors don't just look beautiful, they carry frequency. And frequency is the language your energy responds to. The truth is, these days are not about doing more. They're about sensing more, feeling more, trusting more. And if what you feel seems too subtle to name, know that it's still valid. You don't need to prove transformation with grand gestures. Your shift is happening in the way your spirit leans towards stillness. In the way you start saying no without apology. In the way your boundaries become clearer without explanation. All of that is proof of alignment. Let it be enough. Let it be sacred. Let it be seen not by others, but by you. Because that, Leo, is where the real power begins. By the time you arrive here, Leo, your soul has already done most of the heavy lifting. You've looked inward. You've observed. You've remembered what alignment feels like in your bones. And now, this next step is not about revelation, it's about integration. Self-care isn't just about bubble baths or spa days. It's about spiritual maintenance. It's how you support the version of yourself that's rising from all of this inner clarity. Think of it this way, after the storm of insight, your system needs soft ground to land on. You're not rebuilding your life, you're nurturing the one that was already waiting for you underneath the noise. Start with the physical, because that's where energy gets stuck first. When emotions move rapidly, especially during weeks like this, your body becomes the container. It tightens. It holds. It absorbs the undercurrents your voice hasn't released yet. That's why this is not a time for stimulants. Be gentle with caffeine. Your nervous system is already tuned to a higher frequency, and excess stimulation only blurs the line between intuition and anxiety. Choose warmth instead, a mug of chamomile tea, warm lemon water in the morning, or even cold-pressed grape juice to soothe the heart space. These are simple, nourishing rituals that restore internal rhythm. Nothing loud. Nothing forced. Just enough to remind your body that it is safe to soften. Breathwork becomes a bridge between what you know and what you still struggle to trust. The 4-4-8 technique: inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 8 is a quiet prayer you say to your nervous system. It resets the mind's overthinking loops and brings your spirit gently back to the present moment. Practice this during transitions, before opening a difficult message, before replying to someone who once drained you, or simply before bed, when your mind wants to rehearse fears instead of releasing them. Financially, this is a moment to pull back, not in scarcity, but in discernment. If someone reaches out with a request, give yourself 24 hours before responding. This pause isn't about mistrust. It's about energetic boundaries. You're being asked to recognize that not everyone who's shared your past is entitled to your future or your resources. Take a gentle look at your spending habits. Ask yourself, am I investing in my becoming, or am I holding financial space for someone I've already outgrown? The answer may shift how you move money, time, and energy in the coming weeks. In your work life, resist the pull to make emotionally driven decisions. If your heart is heavy or your mind feels foggy, delay that response, reschedule that call, or postpone that yes. Your clarity is precious, and it deserves the space to speak uninterrupted. This is a powerful time to return to your August intentions. Did you begin the month aligned with your lighter someone else's expectations? The answers live inside your calendar, your inbox, your choices. Read them with care. And when it comes to love, let your actions speak in whispers, not noise. If someone needs you to chase them just to feel loved, that's not a connection, it's an emotional performance. The right ones never need convincing. The ones who are meant to walk with you will meet you without pulling, without confusion. You don't have to prove your worth by overextending. You only need to remember that real love doesn't make you beg to be seen. Let all of this be your quiet rebellion, your devotion to the new self you are now anchoring. Not loud. Not for show. Just honest. Gentle. Consistent. This is how you water your roots while your branches begin to reach higher. The becoming doesn't need an audience. It just needs you. Present. Patient. And deeply willing to nourish the light that has never stopped trying to shine through. What if I told you that Thursday is not your downfall, Leo, but your divine mirror? That the very energy you feared would unravel you is, in fact, the same current rising to free you. You weren't sent into this moment to suffer under the weight of false closeness or perform love just to feel worthy. You were called into this alignment to remember who you are when no one else is watching. And when the masks fall this week, as they will, you'll realize, you don't need to fix anyone. You just need to see clearly, act consciously, and stay rooted in your own light. It's easy to believe that when something or someone leaves, you've lost. But loss is not the right word. Liberation is. You are not being punished. You are being protected. You are not breaking, you are breaking free. Sometimes the universe rearranges your relationships to make space for your rebirth. And this week, that rebirth begins in silence. Not silence out of avoidance, but sacred stillness. A place where your soul can breathe, observe, and rewire. That is the key now. Not noise. Not reaction. But grounded, calm witnessing. Can you hold your peace long enough to let the truth rise without trying to control it? That's the challenge of Thursday and its gift. It's not a trap meant to capture you. It's a gate designed to test your readiness. And you, Leo, are more ready than you think. You don't need to chase closure, argue with confusion, or convince anyone of your value. You only need to stand tall in the wisdom you've gathered and let your energy speak louder than your explanations. So take this message not just as a forecast, but as a call to presence. To awareness. To sovereignty. Let go of who you were told to be, and reclaim who you've always been becoming. A leader. A guide. A light that doesn't flicker to please the darkness. And if this video has echoed something true inside you, something too familiar to ignore, then maybe this wasn't just a message. Maybe it was a reminder you've been waiting for. So I invite you, with all my heart, to take action in a way that honors your own evolution. Type 777 in the comments to affirm your awakening, your alignment, your readiness. Let the universe witness your clarity. Subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness so this space of truth and healing continues to grow with you. Share this message with someone whose soul is ready to awaken, even if they don't yet know why they feel called to listen. And Thendo, the most powerful thing of all. Protect your stillness for the next 24 hours. No need to explain. No need to defend. Just witness. Just feel. Because this is when the universe whispers the loudest, when all distractions are quiet. Ask yourself, quietly, who do I become when I'm no longer trying to earn love? What parts of me feel lighter now that I've let go? Leo, you were born to lead with light, not to be dimmed by illusion. It is not lonely to walk alone when you walk in truth. And remember, clarity is not cold, it's sacred. You are not here to conform. You are here to guide. Until next time, keep listening inward. Keep choosing yourself. And trust that what belongs to you is already finding its way. Thank you for being here. Thank you for walking this path. You are not alone.